So, Paul, what have you been getting up to at the railway since we last spoke to you here at the Monday Night Community Show?
Well, surprisingly, it's been a very busy year. Despite being on the gap year and not running any passenger trains, we've been very busy at the railway, having work weekends at least once a month, and in recent months twice a month, which has been really, really good, getting loads of work done. We've got one of the steam locomotives, Leader, back on its wheels. Superb, is progressing well, and hopefully will be back in service next year for the next season, which will be really good because it's been out of service for quite a while now. We've also been rebuilding coaches left, right and centre. Coach 647 in particular was out of action for about a year and a half, and had a complete overhaul, new floors, new walls, new ends. The whole thing has been completely renewed. And then just as it came to the end of the renewal, it was put on a low loader along with steam locomotive Melia and taken down to Preston near Canterbury, and we operated special passenger trains over an exhibition line at Preston Church in a field, and we ran quite a few trains, carried over 1,000 passengers in one weekend, raising loads of money for the railway, which was absolutely brilliant. It was a bit of a job actually to just set up a railway for the weekend, so we had to go and find the rails, and we knew we had rails, but bearing in mind these rails haven't been used for the best part of 40 years, it was a case of digging them out from the weeds, cleaning them up, putting them on the low loader and sending them to Preston. We had a delivery of new sleepers and everything else. Had to clean up all the sort of the track pins, the nails that hold the track down, and make sure that they were all okay. Go down, set up the track, then have the loco and the coach delivered by truck, and then run it. So that takes quite a bit of doing. So we left the loco and coach there. We thought we were going to have an open day in September, but that didn't come about. But we are going to have another steam up on the 2nd and 3rd of January, which is a nice time of year to be out in the field with the steam engines. The photos will be spectacular if it's as cold as it is now, but it will be really cold out there in the open. That's something we've been doing down at Preston, at Wingham, near Canterbury. And just 2 weeks after the Preston event, in July, Tony James, who's one of our most well-known members, sadly passed away, which was a massive shock to everybody at the railway, and it was a very sad time for us. We were literally going to be receiving our award for small groups from the Heritage Railway Association just a few days after he passed away. So it was such a shock, but we managed to work through, and Tony will be really missed. He'll be most remembered for his announcements at Kemsley Down, and for always being happy and cheery, and always being at the railway. And we sort of miss that because he was doing all the little jobs that you forget about, and we're coming in and this job hasn't been done, and it's like, that's because Tony used to do it. So that was very sad, and it really sort of marred the summer a bit, but we got back into it and got back to work on the trains and the track and the buildings and everything else, and then thought, well, while we're off having our gap year, what do all good people do when they have a gap year? We went on a trip, and we went on a road trip to Welshpool, which is another 2'6" gauge railway. There's only 3 in the country. You've got us, you've got the Welshpool, and you've got the Great Whipsnade Railway at Whipsnade Zoo, which we'd all been to before, and thought, well, let's go to Whipsnade. It's that little bit further to Welshpool. Sorry, it's that little bit further away, and boy, is it a further away. That was a drive and a half. Yeah. But we got there and had a ride there, and it was just amazing. It was completely different railway. They've got hills, they've got scenery, they've got big engines, and they've got some very big engines, and they've got big coaches and everything. It's just amazing. It was good to see how another railway survives and how they can cope with 20,000 passengers a year. And we have probably around 7 to 10,000 passengers a year when we're open, so it's quite an eye-opener to see how somebody can cope with so much. And in the meantime, down at the railway, negotiations have been ongoing, obviously, for Kemsley Down and for Sittingbourne, but mainly for Kemsley Down, because until, as I said earlier, until the mill sold at Sittingbourne, there's not really anyone to negotiate with, because there's no one owning it apart from MRIL, who just want to sell it, and that's fair enough, really. That's for them.
We are joined with Paul Best from the Sittingbourne and Kemsley Light Railway.